Going to the edge, yeah? Going to the edge. Yeah. So reading can you open this? Put it back. Open. Okay, tighten. No. Wait. Oh. Okay, tighten. Good. Yeah, thanks. So reading Srimad Bhagavatam 4:28-42. Pare Brahmani Jatmanam Param Brahma Tatatmane Vichamano Vihagyeksham Asmat Upararamaha. Pare, transcendental, Brahmani, in the absolute, Cha, and Atmanam, the self, Param, the supreme, Brahma, absolute, Tata, also, Atmani, in himself, Vichamanaha, thus observing, Vihaya, giving up, Iksham, reservation, Asmat, from this process, Upara Rama, retired, Ha, suddenly. So translation, King Malayadwaja could thus observe that the Supersoul was sitting by his side and that he, as the individual soul, was sitting by the side of the Supersoul. Since both were together, there was no need for separate interests, and thus he ceased from such activities. Please respond. King Malayadwaja could thus observe that the Supersoul was sitting by his side, and that he, as an individual soul, was sitting by the side of the Supersoul. Since both were together, there was no need for separate interests. Thus he ceased from such activities. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When the advanced stage of devotional service, the devotee does not see anything separate between his own interests and those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both interests become one, for the devotee does not act for a separate interest. Whatever he does in the interest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time he sees everything in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything. Having attained this stage of understanding, he sees no distinction between the spiritual and material world in perfect vision. Material world becomes the spiritual world due to its being the external energy of the Supreme Lord. For the perfect devotee, the energy and the energetic are non-different. Thus the so-called material world becomes spiritual. Sarvam Kalva Idam Brahma. Everything is intended for the service of the Supreme Lord, and the expert devotee can utilize any so-called material thing for the Lord's service. One cannot serve the Lord without being situated on the spiritual platform. Thus, if a so-called material thing is dovetail in the service of the Lord, it is no longer to be considered material. Thus the pure devotee in his perfect vision sees from all angles. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnanam Jnana Shalakaya Chakshuzanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Satpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Shadvitam Shavadutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchna Varangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namarom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Samiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much joining in our Bhagavatam class. So this is a very important point in Malaya Dwaja king realization. Actually he is seeing God. To put in plain language, he is actually seeing God. And that is after, to recap, how many 36,000 years of austerity. You understand? Eating what? Pizza and what? Huh? Eating what? Falahara, Mulakanda, roots, doing austerity. He was doing austerity for long time, 100 years of the demigod equivalent to 36,000 years of time. So after doing this austerity for so long, then he could understand or he could see God. So that means that if anyone is interested in trying to attain the lotus feet of Krishna, then he must partake in austerity. Yes? If he is not interested in doing austerity, then spiritually it is going to be difficult. Of course, in Kali Yuga, you cannot go and sit down in some tree and meditate for 36,000 years and all that. This is not applicable. So the austerity recommended, what is the austerity? What is the austerity? Chanting. Chanting is an austerity. Huh? Chanting is an austerity? What? What is the austerity? Waking up in the morning, huh? What? No. Waking up in the morning is austerity. What is austerity? Come on. Yes, following the four principles. What are they? No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. No, I am a pure vegetarian. Many of them come. Are you taking onion and garlic? Oh, that I am doing. So, austerity includes what? No onion, no garlic, no mushroom, no coffee, tea. These are the austerities. And waking up in the morning. If someone does not wake up in the morning 1.5 hours before sunrise, then spiritually he is committing suicide. Spiritually he is committing suicide. There is no spiritual life after sunrise. After sunrise there is no, forget it. You can try and try. You will always be hampered by Maya. Understand? There are two things, explained here. कार्य कर्म कर्तत्व हेतु प्राकृति उच्यते पुरुष सुखम दुखानम भोक्तत्व हेतु उच्यते. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various suffering and enjoyments in this world. You follow? So nature is giving the body, but the suffering and enjoyment is created by the living entity. You follow? So, if he wants to enjoy, then austerity must. If he wants to suffer, then he enjoys the senses. See? So, how this works? Say, that's why I have to understand this thing. The system it works, that Krishna explained very simply in the Bhagavad Gita. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to association in the material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So when he tries to enjoy, then he meets what? Sometime heavenly planet, sometime hellish planet, sometime animal life, like this. Asat, Sat, Asat, Yoni, Janmasu. So this is the material enjoyment. Actually there is no enjoyment, there is suffering. Correct? Is it not? Enjoyment. There is no enjoyment, there is suffering. See? Then, you see, Krishna explained the next verse, which is very important, pertaining to today's verse. Upadrasta anumantacha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti cha api yukto deismi purusha paraha. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and permitter and who is known as the super soul. So today's verse is pertaining to this point. You follow? There is another person in the body and he is the, because you say super soul, but actually it's Krishna. So he is sitting in our body. You understand this point? Yeah? So this is theoretical understanding. God is sitting in our You follow? And here he is not just sitting, he is what? What's he doing? He is the witness, Sakshi, and he is the permitter. It doesn't mean that you go and pray, you go $1 million, please God give me $1 million. Whether you you understand? So he is sanctioning. So that is his role. His role is to observe and to sanction. You follow? And not only he is sitting inside, observing and sanctioning, it says here, I am sure you know this verse, very famous verse. In this verse, he says here, Sarvasya chahamrdi sanvisto mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedesha sarve ahamave vidyo vedanta krit videva eva chaham. Sometimes these two lines are, first two lines are different and the second two lines are different, That's why to understand Bhagavad Gita, you must go to a realized soul. You understand? Sometimes Krishna juggle up. You see, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Then you may wonder, why by all the Vedas I am to be known, indeed I am the compiler of the Veda, I am no knower of the Veda. Well, how does these two relate? How does these two verses relate? It is relating because knowledge is concerned. It's concerning what? Knowledge. And Vedas is the source of all. Veda means what? Knowledge. And by all knowledge, I am to be known. In other words, I am sitting in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. Now, why this knowledge is very essential? Very important. So we will go from now, we will go to another chapter. This is to understand this thoroughly. The Lord is sitting in the heart. He is sitting, right? He is what? Observing and is permitting, correct? Not only that, he is giving what? Remembrance, he is giving knowledge, and is giving. You now understand, right? In other words, he is the controller. You understand? He is the controller. There is no point in any part of our life that we can be separated from the Super Soul. That cannot work. It cannot. In other words, we will be accompanied by the Super Soul in any amount of life we take. Only one incident we will be away from the Super Soul, when we go to the spiritual world. Finish. When we attain perfection, then there is no more. Then we are directly leading with the Lord in the spiritual world. There is no need Super Soul anymore. You follow this point? In the spiritual world, you are directly dealing with and today's point, he is directly dealing with the Lord already. That means he has attained his spiritual status. You follow? So he has no separate interest. Is there anything to the Lord? He is subservient to it. So now superior to that position. This is explained by the Lord in these verses. We will read this. This chapter is very interesting. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, due to the influence of the material mode of nature, which are under my control, the living entity is sometimes designated as conditioned and sometimes as liberated. In fact, however, the soul is never really bound up or liberated. Since I am the Supreme Lord of Maya, which is the cause of the modes of nature, I am also never to be considered liberated or in bondage." You follow this point? Both the soul and the Lord are both spiritual in nature. They cannot be touched by Maya. Understand? They cannot. But you see here the Lord says, the living entity is sometimes designated as conditioned and sometimes liberated. How that happens? Under my control. In other words, Krishna can put you into Maya, Krishna can take you out. Based on our desires. Based on what? That's why in that sloka, after we will read the sloka, the two birds is sitting, correct? One is eating the fruit, another one is observing. The observing bird is the super soul, and the eating and enjoying fruit is the. So according, just now we read, the living entity is the cause of its happiness or suffering. That is due to it is enjoying tendency. You understand this point? But the spirit soul is never out of control. It's always under the control of the. Let us see later. You see again Krishna explains here. This is very important. This point. Just as a dream is merely a creation of one's intelligence but has no actual substance. Similarly, material lamentation, illusion, happiness, distress, and the acceptance of material body under the influence of Maya are all creations of my illusory energy. In other words, material existence has no essential reality. That's why the point here is used as a dream. In dream, it is all created, right? It is an illusion. You understand? So this material world, we are put in this material body, you understand? It is like a dream-like situation. Has no essential reality. It's temporary. Under the influence of Maya, see the material energy is illusory. Now again Krishna further explains this point. This is a very interesting chapter actually. O Uddhava, both knowledge and ignorance, being products of Maya, are expansion of my potency. That's now we said. Krishna says what? I am seated in the heart and I am giving what? Knowledge, and I am giving forgetfulness. So knowledge and ignorance, here the same point, correct? Are products of Maya, are expansions of my potency. They are going to start this work. Both knowledge and ignorance are beginningless and perpetually award liberation and bondage to the embodied living being. In other words, They are both also eternal. That's why a person who is in Maya, they say, is eternally conditioned or he is eternally liberated. So these are both situations pertaining to the living. That is done by the Lord. You understand? Now again, going on, See, this is a very important verse that's also there in the Bhagavad Gita. This verse is often quoted many times. O most intelligent Uddhava, the living entity called Jiva is part and parcel of me, but due to ignorance he has been suffering in material bondage since time immemorial. By knowledge, however, he can be liberated. This verse is the same in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, right? Mamayangsa Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatanaha 15:7. The living entity is my part and parcel, but due to ignorance he has been suffering in the material bondage since time immemorial. Krishna stops there in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna what? Stops there. So therefore, many people who are challenging us, why are you quoting the 11th canto and all? So that's it for them, the knowledge is only there. You understand? Here, Krishna is saying how to come out. So they don't want to come out. And those people who are against us for quoting this 11th canto, no, you don't come out. You stay in Maya perpetually. This line, by knowledge, let's go to the verse anyway. You have to know this argument, because tomorrow someone will talk to you and criticize us, why are you quoting this 11 canto, this is bogus, this, that, so many nonsense. Mamayangso jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manaha sastrindriyani prakriti sthane karshyati. The living entity in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Isn't that the same point? Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Yes? Has Krishna given a solution? So don't read any more books. Finish. Stop there. Right? Yes or no? Here, see what Krishna is saying. By knowledge, however, he can be liberated. So Krishna is saying, I give you the knowledge, I give you the remembrance, and I also give you the forgetfulness. So all we now need is to get that knowledge. You understand? You follow? What is the most important thing Krishna left behind when he went back to the spiritual world? He left behind knowledge. Dwaraka also he samajh. He didn't want to show it that nobody. Correct? Everything he took away. But he left behind what? What he left behind? Knowledge. You understand? He particularly made sure that he spoke to Arjuna this knowledge. He also spoke to Uddhava, and he made Uddhava go up to Badrika Ashram to give this knowledge to the others. Otherwise, how we can understand all these things? So now our point is that the spirit soul who is eating the fruits, he can understand his sufferings and all these problems. If he becomes liberated, and that liberation can only take place by knowledge, right? Now let's go on. My dear Uddhava, in the same material body we find opposing characteristics such as great happiness and misery. This is because both the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternally liberated, as well as the conditioned soul are within the body. I shall now speak to you about the different characteristics. So how this thing happens, the Lord is going to explain. First thing he says, by chance two birds have made a nest together in the same tree. The two birds are friends and are of similar nature. One of them, however, is eating the fruits of the tree, whereas the other, who does not eat the fruit, is in a superior position due to his potency. So this is the point that is explained also in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, text 22, about in the Sesvatara Upanishad. So this is not some whimsical sloka here. This is also quoted elsewhere in the Upanishad. You know, you go refer to your Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 22. You can take note, and then you can see that the verse, two birds are sitting in the tree. All right. So now the two birds in the tree is confirmed in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It is confirmed here by Krishna himself. It is also confirmed in the Upanishads. Correct? So it is confirmed in many places there are only two birds in the same tree. Correct? And the two birds are same quality. They are spiritual. You understand? Yeah? Is it? One bird is eating the fruit. That means he is enjoying the body, the senses, right? Another bird is observing, witnessing. That also Krishna explained in the Bhagavad Gita just now. I am sitting and I am what? Observing and I am permitting. Because to eat the fruit, Krishna had to give the fruit. You know, you cannot go and make your fruit. Can you make your own fruit? That is not possible. So everything is provided by the Lord. You understand? So now we have come to this far, and these statements are all in sequence. Yes, that's why Veda, when you read the Bible, nobody can change this thing. Nobody can change it. Because they are spoken in sequence, here, 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 here. So the same thing is repeated. Sometimes they say, oh, this is a very boring book, you know, always repeating. Huh? Why is it repeating? Because you have got a tendency to cheat, you will change. No, there are three birds. But where did the three birds come from? So that is the nature of the human being. They change. Understand? So to avoid, to protect that, they are spoken in sequence everywhere. You follow? So now going again more. Yeah, here the same verse is here quoted here. See? The Sesvatara Upanishad, this same verse is there in the Bhagavad Gita. There are two birds in one tree. One of them is eating the fruits of the tree, while the other is witnessing the action. The witnessing is the Lord, and the fruit eater is the living entity. This is from the Sesvatara Upanishad. This same verse is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the bird who does not eat the fruits of the tree, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who by his omniscience perfectly understands his own position and that of the conditioned living entity, represented by the eating bird. That living entity, on the other hand, does not understand himself or the Lord. He is covered by ignorance and is thus called eternally conditioned, whereas the personality of Godhead, being full of perfect knowledge, is eternally liberated. Now, the position of the living entity is fully endorsed. He is eternally conditioned because he is eating the fruit, he is covered by Maya, he cannot see nothing. Understand? Practically, you talk to anybody, they don't even know they don't even know their spirit soul. Is it not? They don't even know their spirit soul. They think they are the body. You understand? This is the consciousness of the animal. The animal does not know anything beyond eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Actually the word is there, Pasu Buddhi. What is the word? Pasu Buddhi, animal consciousness. So when the person does not know anything, that comes about when he wants to enjoy separately. Understand? When he wants to enjoy the senses, everything is covered. He does not see, he cannot see. Everything is closed for him. Understand? So the Lord is accompanying this conditioned soul. The Lord is fully knowledge. He has of course the Lord is, all knowing. That's also there in the Bhagavad Gita. It's explaining that the soul is sitting in the body, he doesn't know, but I, the super soul, I know the soul, I know everything, the know of everything. Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, you can see, the verse is there. So therefore, the position of God is very clearly explained here, that he is not subject to Maya at any point of time. And the conditioned soul's position is also explained, that he is eternally conditioned and he forgets his nature. Sometimes this Mayavadis say, no, you are also God, I am also God. Then, but why I am not God? No, you forgot. What? Is this philosophy correct again? You sure? Last week you say yes, no? Not correct now? You understand? Very good. So this kind of a cheating, the word what? Cheating philosophy they put forward. No. You don't know. You are conditioned now. But when you become God, then you will know. This statement is not very valid, because you can see, if God cannot be conditioned at any point of the time, God cannot be conditioned at any point of time. God cannot become in Maya. So if you are God and you are becoming in Maya, something is wrong with the statement. Because here, in fully perfect knowledge is eternally liberated. God is always liberated. He cannot be conditioned. So this philosophy that you are conditioned now, when you become God, you become liberated, that doesn't work. Are you understanding? It cannot work. You follow? So you must know, because why I have to stress all these things? I was shocked that sometimes you don't even know these basic things, See, the Supreme Personality Godhead said, many births you and I have passed. I remember all of them, but you cannot. Oh, subdue the enemy. This is Bhagavad Gita. Again, Krishna is saying, I am God, you are not God. Because you can be in Maya. You understand? One who is enlightened in self-realization, although living in the material body, see himself as transcendental to the body. Just as one who has risen from a dream gives up identification with the dream body. A foolish person, however, although not identical with his material body, but transcendental to it, thinks himself to be situated in the body, just as one who is dreaming sees himself as situated in an imaginary body. So now, the position of a liberated soul is explained, the position of a condition is explained. Let us read it again. Now, see, one who is enlightened in self-realization, although living in the material body, see himself transcendental to the body, just as one who has arisen from a dream gives up identification with the dream body. This is the position of the liberated soul. Just like today, Malaya Dwaja, he came to this position. He is in this position. You follow? He is seeing himself, he is seeing the Lord, he is seeing both are equal. You see, in today's verse, he sees the super soul sitting and the super soul is, 2 times is put today, correct? The same point, but it is repeated in 2 different ways. He is sitting with the soul, super soul, and the super soul is sitting with him. You understand? Double confirming that he is seeing the Lord spiritually. So now the example is given here, The example is given here with the dream. Now a person who is sleeping, when he wakes up, he forgets his dreaming, correct? Does he pay attention to, oh, I dreamt that I strike lottery. Will you go and see now in the dream that you strike the lottery and you want to go and get the money? Would you do that? That's stupid, a dream. Correct? Yes? So that person realizes, oh, I was just dreaming. Now there is another person, you see? A foolish person. Now there is a foolish person, he is not another person, he is a foolish person. However, although not identical with his material body, but transcendental to it, think himself to be situated in the body, just as one who is dreaming sees himself as situated in an imaginary body. This is the position of a foolish person. He identifies with the dream. You understand? He doesn't come to reality to understand that he is spirit soul. He is living in the material consciousness. He thinks, I am this body, my body is very important, everything is pertaining to this body. Correct? Everything that is pertaining to the body is very important to me. You understand? All this attachment are very, very important. He does not care, for the spiritual consciousness. That's why even Brahma is saying, no, anyone who is thinking like that, what is that? 10:14:36. Let's go there and come back a little while. And here you can see, my dear Lord Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachment, desire remain thieves, their home remain prisons, and their affection feeling for their family members remain foot shackles. You see how this conditioning, even again further explain here, and this verse also. My dear Uddhava, Sri Uddhava said, my dear Krishna, generally human beings know that material life brings great future unhappiness and still they try to enjoy material life. My dear Lord, how can one in knowledge act just like a dog or an ass or a goat? In other words, if someone don't understand his transcendental position, he is no better than a dog or an ass or a goat. You follow? Enlightened person who is free from the contamination of material desire does not consider himself to be the performer of bodily activities. Rather, he knows that in all such activities it is only the senses born of the modes of nature, they are contacting sense object born of the same modes of nature. So he understands that all these things I am seeing or doing, it is all actions of the senses. All acting of the senses. I am not involved in these things. But because if I identify with the senses, that's why in the Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, when the person, when the senses act with the sense object, there develops an attachment first, correct? From attachment, what develops? Lust. And from lust, what develops? Anger. From anger, what develops? Loss of intelligence. And then it is fall down. You understand? So a person who is intelligent, who understands that he is the spirit soul, he knows, no, this is the senses are acting. You understand? I am not involved in these things. I am spirit soul. You follow? So only enlightened person can see. That's why today, what's his name? Malaya Duaja, he saw. No, I am not interested in all these things. I am interested in the Lord. The Lord is doing everything. The Lord is, that's now we read. The Lord can put me in Maya. The Lord can take me out of Maya. Everything is done by the Lord, and all these things are coming from His material energy. I don't want to be part of that. So this is a realization. So here, this more confirmed. Krishna is explaining it more detailed. An unintelligent person situated within the body, created by previous fruitive activity, thinks that I am the performer of action. Bewildered by false ego, such a foolish person is therefore bound up by fruitive activity, which in fact carried out by the modes of material nature. This is exactly the same verse in the Bhagavad Gita again, chapter 3, text 27. You can take note. You go and read that verse. I think maybe in the purport is also there. Here. This is the verse. Prakriti kiryamanani gunair karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. The living entity is dependent on the Supreme Entity Lord Krishna, but because of false pride he ignores the Supreme Personality of Godhead and considers himself to be the performer of action and enjoyer of everything. So this is how the conditioned soul thinks, and there's now earlier the liberated soul thinks. You see, two different. This is a comparative study here of the conditioned soul and the liberated soul. An intelligent person fixed in detachment engages body in lying down, sitting, walking, bathing, seeing, touching, smelling, eating and hearing and so on, but is never entangled by such activities. Indeed, remaining as a witness to all bodily function, he merely engages bodily senses with their objects and does not become entangled like an unintelligent person. So this question was also raised by Arjuna. How does the liberated soul act? 2 times the same question was asked in the Bhagavad Gita. How does a liberated person eat, sleep, talk? Chapter 2, text? 254 and 14? 14 what? 21. So please take note, 251 and 14, 254 and 14, 21. The same point has been asked. How does a person, anyway, maybe I show you quickly so we can. 251, 54. Arjuna asking this question. See. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus much in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk?" See? The same question is asking, right? Again, I think, what is that? 14? 21. The same thing is asking 2 times. Arjuna inquired, "My dear Lord, by which symptom is one known who is transcendental to the 3 modes? What is his behavior? How does he transcend the modes of nature?" Again, same question. So today, now, same thing is explained here. He engages in bodily senses with their objects and does not become entangled like an unintelligent person. So in other words, he performs inaction. He performs what? There's 3 kind of action. Yes? There are 3 kind of action. Anybody knows? You don't know. Alright. Very simply. One action is called karma. One action is called vikarma, forbidden, cannot do, sinful. Another action is called akarma. That means action you do, but you don't get any reaction. You understand? One is activity, karma you do, you enjoy the pious activity. The other one is forbidden action, you should not do at all, sinful. And the third one is you doing something, but you are not getting any reaction. That is called akarma. So here, the devotee here, he is doing work, but he is not getting implicated. You understand? How does it work? As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever, let's go to that. 9. So here Krishna is saying, and this verse, Yat karosi yad asnasi yat yuhosi dadasi yat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusva mad arpanam. You can see here, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, and whatever austerity you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So in other words, how the liberated soul works, he does everything for pleasure of Krishna. So you understand? So when it does like this, then it says here, in this way you will be free from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious result. So in other words, if you do this of offering to Krishna everything, then you don't get implicated. You become what? Free. And with your mind fixed on me, this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and you come to me. In other words, the devotee right now, we are reading, he is eating, sleeping, he is only knowing the senses are acting, he is making sure that he doesn't get any reaction. And the only way he can get free from that is to engage in the service of, you follow? Right? Like for example, eating. If you cook your nice vegetarian food and eat, you are implicated. Correct? But the same food you offer to Krishna, you become free. Simple example. You understand? Seeing. If you see some woman or man, you get attracted, then you go together, you get implicated. Correct? But if you see and understand, oh, such nice body, if this body is so nice, who has created this body? Must be God. And if he is creating this nice body, how much more nicer he must be? And immediately you are free from. You understand? But if you see and you get involved, that's asking trouble, right? And that's why you are all wearing white here. Wearing what color? Understand? Top only yellow, but down cannot be. Right? The white will skin you alive. Why is saffron? I remember when I was a householder, I had saffron bag. Cannot. Saffron chanting bag cannot. Illegal for me. You know this color. My wife is so much concerned. So therefore, you see how this whole thing works, detachment. Understand? This is explained by Krishna, you know. Now going back, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, where am I? Oh. I think I'm here, right? 11. Okay, here. So once you engage in Krishna's service, he doesn't care, you know. Although the sky or space is the resting place of everything, the sky does not mix with anything nor is entangled. Similarly, the sun is not at all attached to the water in which is reflected within the numerous reservoirs, and the mighty wind blowing everywhere is not affected by the innumerable aromas and atmosphere. through which it passes. In the same way, a self-realized soul is completely detached from the material body and the material world around it. He is like a person who has awakened and arisen from a dream. With expert vision, sharpened by detachment, the self-realized soul cuts all doubts to pieces through knowledge of the self and completely withdraws his consciousness from the expansion of material variety. This is exactly what the king is doing today. He is withdrawing himself completely from this material thing and fixing himself on the spiritual plane. With expert vision sharpened by detachment, the self-realized soul cuts all doubt to pieces through knowledge of the self, that he understands that he is a spiritual person. And this comes about by him seeing the Lord. And the Lord is giving him the intelligence. You understand? This does not come about by your own experimental thing. No. It is coming because the Lord is giving that intelligence. You understand? Unless you get that knowledge from the Lord, this is not possible. You follow? A person is considered to be completely liberated from the gross and subtle material body when all the functions of his vital energy, the senses, mind and intelligence are performed without material desires. Such a person, although situated in the body, is not entangled. This is exactly what we are saying, our karma, correct? You are doing everything for the, you follow, pleasure of the Lord. Sometimes for no apparent reason one's body is attacked by cruel people or violent animals, and other times in other places one will suddenly be offered great respect or worship. One who becomes neither angry when attacked or satisfied when worship is actually intelligent. Indifferent. He becomes indifferent because he doesn't care. A saintly sage sees with equal vision and is therefore not affected by that which is materially good or bad. In it, although he observes others performing good and bad work and speaking properly and improperly, the sage does not praise or criticize anyone. He is neutral. He doesn't care. You understand? He is not very much involved in all this. That's why there is also another word, who are these pure devotees? The question was asked, who are these pure devotees? The same point, the pure devotees are here. The position of a pure devotee is that he is not involved in politics. Who are the pure devotees mentioned here? In the assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing material subjects like politics and sociology. See this point here? This is exactly the position of the sage. In an assembly of a pure devotee, there is discussion only of the qualities, forms and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is praised and worshipped with full attention. In the association of pure devotees, by constantly hearing such topic respectfully, even a person who wants to merge into the existence of the absolute truth, abandon this idea and gradually become attached to the service of Vasudeva. This is the position, right? So he does not get involved in praising someone, criticizing someone. This verse is also there in the Nectar of Instruction, correct? A pure devotee, what? He does not take part in criticizing or praising someone. He is indifferent. Actually, mostly he doesn't criticize. For purpose of maintaining his body, a liberated sage should not act, speak or contemplate in terms of material good or bad. Rather, he should be detached in all material circumstances and taking pleasure in self-realization. He should wander about, engage in his liberated lifestyle, appearing like a retarded person to outsiders. But this is for a person who don't preach, For us, if we are different, we have to preach Krishna consciousness to help others come out of the problem, to help. So okay, this verse goes on, and then just speaking about. Now I want to just go to another place a little bit. Here. O Lord, cause of all causes, if your transcendental body were not beyond the modes of material nature, one could not understand the difference between matter and transcendence. Only by your presence one can understand the transcendental nature of your Lordship, who are the controller of material nature. Your transcendental nature is very difficult to understand unless one is influenced by the presence of your transcendental form. You understand this point? Because he saw. He what? He saw. Because he saw, he got all. Just like if you go to the sunlight, there's no question of darkness, correct? Yes or not? Correct? So the moment he saw the Lord, then all thing is finished. All this Maya is finished. Then he should understand himself, he saw everything was very clear for him. But he saw. Understand? Yeah? It is not that suddenly he came to him or what. No. It is by the position of the Lord. That's why devotional service is so important. Without devotional service, forget it. It's very difficult to come to this position. O Lord, your transcendental name and form are not ascertained by those who merely speculate on the path of imagination. Your name, form and attributes can be ascertained only through devotional service. Period. Bhaktyamam abhijanante yavan yasmin tattvataha. If you want to know about me, only by devotional service you can know me as I am. You understand? You cannot know Krishna by any other way. That's not possible. This is the same verse. So in other words, Malayadwaja, he became a pure devotee. The moment he became a pure devotee, all these things are happening. He is seeing the Lord, saying he can see no more in Maya, he and the Lord are one. You understand? He has no more separate interests. He just he wants to only serve the Lord. This is the same verse, right? Ataha Sri Krishna Nama Hari Na Brahm Indri. This can understand all this by chanting. This is the verse I just quoted. Bhaktyamam abhijanante yavan yasmin tattvataha. Bhagavad Gita 1855. Tato mam tattvato gyantva vishate tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. This is exactly what's happening here. So, even while engaged in various activities, devotees whose mind are completely absorbed at your lotus feet and who constantly hear, chant, contemplate and cause others to remember your transcendental name and form are always on the transcendental platform, and thus they can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the position. Just now we read that he wanders like a retarded person, but that's another thing. Here, the devotee, he does this. He chants, he helps others. Understand? So in this way, a position of a devotee is much higher. So I have explained. What is the time now? 9:30 or 10:30? 10:30. 9:30. Okay, I thought it was 10:30. So is it clear now? Huh? Is it clear now, the position of a devotee? Huh? All right, I think this is over now. So we have covered pretty much the subject. So I just want to show you one more before I wrap up. All right, just one more point here. Okay, here same thing. Now Maharaj Prithu underwent all these severe austerities in order to control his words and his senses, to refrain from discharging his semen and to control life air within his body. All this he did for the satisfaction of Krishna. He had no other purpose. So now Prithu Maharaj also did the same thing. He did austerities, right? Then what happened? By thus practicing severe austerities, Prithu Maharaj gradually became steadfast in spiritual life and completely free from all desires for fruitive activity. He also practiced breathing exercise to control his mind and senses. By such control, he became completely free from all desires for fruitive activities. In other words, he became what? Free from all kind of karma. You understand? Then thus the best among human beings, Maharaj Prithu followed the path of spiritual advancement which was advised by Sanat Kumar, that is to say, he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So he became purified just by doing devotional service. Prithu Maharaj thus engaged completely in devotional service, executing the rules and regulations strictly to the principle 24 hours daily. Thus his love and devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna developed and he became unflinchingly and fixed. That's it, point. He also attained the same position. You understand? So two persons have attained the same thing. So process is what? Genuine, right? Now there is another person. He was not, I think it is. Let's see, here. Yeah. This is talking about Dhritarashtra. He will have to suspend all the action of senses, even from the outside. He will have to improvise to interaction of the senses which is influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duty, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrance on the path. So Dhritarashtra is also doing this kind of tapasya, but he is little different. O king, he will quit his body most probably on the 5th day from today, and his body will turn to ashes. Vidura was astonished to see that the marvelous departure of his brother Dhritarashtra as a liberated yogi. For in his past life, he was very much attached to materialism. Of course, it was only due to Vidura that his brother attained the desirable goal of life. Vidura was therefore glad to learn about it, but he was sorry that he could not make his brother turn into a pure devotee. This was not done by Vidura because Dhritarashtra had been inimical to the Pandavas who were all devotees to the Lord. An offense at the feet of Vaishnava is more dangerous than an offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. An offense at the feet of the Lord is easily excused by the Lord, but an offense at the feet of a devotee is never excused by the Lord. Vidura was certainly very liberal to bestow mercy upon his brother Dhritarashtra, whose past life was very materialistic, but ultimately the result of such mercy certainly depends on the will of the Supreme Lord. In the present life, therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only. You understand his point? And after many such liberated states of life, one can attain to the stage of devotional service. You see the difference now? I have given you examples of two persons. One, Malaya Dwaja, he became devotee, he saw the Lord in everything. And Prithu Maharaj, correct? He also saw the Lord and he became perfect. Of course, Dhruva Maharaj, he walked into the plane with changing. The body became what? Completely spiritual. This is also their example. And today, now here, this example is of someone who is not pure devotee. You understand? Although Dhritarashtra heard Krishna speaking to him, right? Could not see the Lord, but he heard. Despite all this, he could not become purified. And because he could not be purified, he did not attain, he became liberated. Liberated position is not very, so proper right here. After getting liberated many times, then you can get devotional service. Now we have attained devotional service, yes? No. No. What? Oh, you all have attained devotional service. Very astonishing. Trying to be. I think that's a better word. Correct? So, better take good use of this. Correct? There's one go by chanting. We are going back to the spiritual world. See the position. So, I have highlighted how important devotional service is. Correct? I have explained to you the liberated person and non-liberated person, and finally the liberated person, he walks indifferent. But then I showed you how a devotee is so important. Only by being devotee you can understand fully the Lord. Yes. And now I have given you example of two persons who got the mercy, and I showed one person who did not get the. Yes? Clear? Right? Yes or no? Yes. So any questions up to now? Quite a long talk, I'm sorry, but I had to cover these things. Yes?
Mayavadis, they also desire to merge to the Supreme. They also have some taste in what they do, because in many verses it's a comparison and telling that is not the right path. There is a lot of warning in a lot of verses not to go towards that path, right?
Mayavadis were offenders to Krishna, they don't go back, Many places you say they go to the darkest region of Lord Brahma says, Ishopanishad says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, right? You know where all these verses? Ishopanishad, Mantra 12. Correct? Yes? You can see? Here in this verse, can read. Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of impersonal absolute. Right? Another place is 3:9. Let me see, huh?
Yeah, because still we have so many Mayavadis, right? So, what is driving them?
And what to do? Yamaraj has got so much job.
I'm saying what is driving them? Are they getting
Huh?
happiness doing what they're doing? Because there are so many Mayavadis, what is driving them? If this is all, I mean, it's a not so restriction, but they seem to have some taste by which they are enjoying the process, because of which they are sticking to it. So what is it that is driving them?
Let me show you this verse of Lord Brahma. Huh? And this verse, this present form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universe. Since you have manifested this eternal form upon whom your devotees meditate, I offer my respectful obeisance to you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. So again, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mayavade, Sunile, Sarva, Nash. What is that verse? Mayavad? Huh? What's that? So, those who are, that's why to be a devotee is a very rare thing. Devotee, what? Very rare. Krishna also said in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatati api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tattvataha. So hardly one they will know in truth. Yes? You go India, you see so many guys, you talk to them, there's something wrong with them, Although they wear all the dress and all, you talk to them, something strange they are talking. Doesn't make any sense. Yes? Have you witnessed this? Have you tried talking to them? Actually, you won't go near them because they look terrible. Right? Yes? Understand? All of them, no philosophy. Strange. Huh?
Actually, this Vaishnava philosophy is very common sense. So easy to understand that we cannot be God, we cannot worship God. Why 99% of the world cannot understand it?
Yeah, there are some people like difficult things, Something simple is something wrong. Something difficult, standing on the toes, standing on your tail, whatever, wow, this is real. Understand? To come here in the morning, chant Hare Krishna and take nice prasadam, oh, something wrong here. Maybe they put something in the prasadam, They completely make you become what? What? They brainwash you. Some people speak like that. Understand? They think you put the food in they close the curtain, don't know what they do inside, the food come out strange when you eat. They say that. Understand? I tell you, people like this, they want something tough. They think this is, sitting on the ice or sitting on the snow is the best thing. Rubbish. That's why Krishna says that this very easy to do. Everyone can do, correct? The woman, the low-born, Sudra, so many, everyone can do. But this kind of impersonal thing, how many can do? Not many. You follow?
So it may be said like imitation jewelry everybody can go, but real jewelry not many people can go. Imitation jewelry anybody can go inside and buy, but
Yes.
real jewelry not everybody. So Mayavadi not everybody can do. Devotion service everybody can do. Maybe can use this
So we all are imitation jewelry. Yeah? Understand? This, like this fox is trying to get the grapes. He's jumping and jumping, he cannot get the grapes, right? Oh, this is sour grapes. Yeah, Mayavad are like that. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Mayavad Krishnere aparadhi. They are offenders to Krishna. You understand? They speak in a very offensive way. God has no head, God has no leg, God has no nothing. Correct? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, everywhere is my head, everywhere is my hand, and this guy is saying God has nothing, no head, no leg, no nothing. Then look at these guys, offenders. One of them, Ramanuja's guru, when he was speaking this verse, Pundarikaksham, what is his name? Kapiyasam Pundarikaksham. In this verse, he says, the Lord's face is compared to the backside of a monkey. Oh my goodness. How you like that kind of statement? You know the backside of a monkey, red color? Have you seen? Some monkeys that got this the red backside. Have you seen that? The baboon. And he's comparing the baboon's backside to the face of the Lord. This is a very nice statement. Very nice statement. And when Ramanuja heard it, he was massaging his guru and tears was coming out from his eyes. And then the guru said, what happened? Why are you crying? No, you said this verse, that's why it's hurting my heart. You know better than you know better than me. Can you explain? Say yes. When he said, what is that? Kapiyasam. Kapiyasam means that the flower that is drinking the sun rays. So what flower that drinks the sunlight? Lotus flower. So the lotus flower is drinking the sunlight, correct? And that is how the Pundarikaksha means the Lord's what? Face is like that. So the Lord's face is compared to the lotus. Which one prefer? The backside of the monkey or the lotus flower? I mean the guru got very upset. You know too much. Then he plotted to kill Ramanuja. That's the whole story goes. Envious. You understand? That's why this whole verse today. Unless you are a devotee, I quoted the verse right. Unless you are a devotee, you cannot understand this thing. It's not possible. It's not possible. So you become offensive. You are envious of the Lord. And you are envious of the Lord, you will try to ridicule Him. You understand? You got no head, no leg, it's completely bogus. Understand? This is the position of the Mayavads. So they are offensive. That's why Mayavad Bhasa, you go into hearing this, spiritually you will be finished. Spiritually you will be finished. Understand? That's why Shankaracharya's work we don't recommend. If you hear them, especially these Keralas, whole Kerala is full of them. Because Shankaracharya come from Kerala, no? Correct? Wow. Yeah, followers of Shankaracharya. Understand? He is the one who says, God and you are one, equal. That's his Mayavad. In no point at any time you can be equal to God. Correct? You follow? So this is why Mayavadis are big offenders. And there are many of them. Why? Because anything you can do. Anything you can do. They like that. Yatam mat, tatam pat. Anything you can do. So everything is messed up. Many of them also eating meat. Correct? That the biggest Mayavad, what he said? This fish you can eat. How you can eat fish? No, this fish is coming from Ganga, is Ganga Prasadam. Wow. Look at his statement. Fish from your place, you are from there. See, he's from there and he's from there, see. So you see, both died across India, there's one line you draw, the both places. You understand? The fish is from the Ganga river, it is coming as prasad for you, you can eat. Can you imagine this? You follow? This is why Mayavad, they are very, very dangerous. You understand? That's why Prabhupada, he came to clean up this mess. He came for what? What is that sloka we chant for Prabhupada? Huh? Sunyavad Nirvishesha. Sunyavad means these zeros, the voidies. And the Nirvishesha means no varieties. You know, this what? This ekattam. Ekotvena, this oneness, impersonalism. So Prabhupada came to clean up this mess. Completely clean it up. No more all this nonsense. Right? So devotional service to the Lord is the only way to develop love. If you go any other way, then spiritually you're committing suicide. Even if you have some devotion and you go in here, you will become contaminated. That's why we are forbidden to go and hear discourses from this Mayavad, who may also speak about Krishna, but we cannot hear them. We cannot hear talks from Mayavads. You follow? Alright, any other questions? No questions? Huh?
Dheeraj is asking, can you please explain what is Uddhava Gita, what is it all about, and from where to read it?
What is he asking?
What is Uddhava Gita? What is it all about, and from where to read it?
Ask him to read the 11th canto. That's Uddhava Gita.
11th canto, 6th chapter to 29th chapter.
Things start from chapter.
Chapter 6. Chapter 6 to 29.
Yeah, ask him, you write to him.
Then, Venugopal Prabhu asked, according to 5, 12, 13, Bhagavatam, that means anybody teaches Mayavad is not a pure devotee at all. For example, Sripad Shankaracharya taught that in the Lord's order only, right? So he is.
Cannot hear properly.
According to Srimad Bhagavatam 5.12.13, anybody who preaches Mayavad is not a pure devotee at all. Is it not? Then, for example, Srimad Shankaracharya taught that on the Lord's order. So, but he is a pure devotee, isn't it? Is it not?
He is a pure devotee, but if you follow him, you are not. You understand? He is pure. But if you follow his teaching, then you become impure. That's why he told Devi, I am coming in Kali Yuga in the garb of a Brahmin to bewilder and teach this Asat Shastra. You understand? Asat Shastra. There's a verse also on that. Mayavadam Asat Shastra. What's the verse?
7. Adilila 7.110. All the verses.
7 dot?
110.
So here you can see this Asat Shastra. Mayavadam Asat Shastram Prachanam Baudam Uchyate Mayeva Kalpitam Devi Kalau Brahmana Rupina. See? This Mayavad philosophy, the Mayavad philosophy Lord Shiva informed his wife Parvati is impious, Asat Shastra. It is covered Buddhism. My dear Parvati, in Kali Yuga I will assume the form of a Brahmana and teach this imagine Mayavad philosophy. In order to cheat the atheists, I describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be without form and without qualities. So Lord Shiva is coming to cheat. If you follow him, you're going to be in trouble. Yes? So you tell him that you can read the 7110 purport.
Why God has to come and cheat us?
Huh?
Why Lord Shiva has to come and cheat us?
Why Lord Shiva has to come and cheat us? You see, Lord Krishna came as Lord Buddha. Yes? And when he came as Lord Buddha, he said, don't follow the Vedas. You understand? So, many people, I think during that time, the Chandragupta period, many people were Buddhists in India. So in order to bring back the Vedas, he cannot bring directly the Vedas. So he has to come as Lord Shiva to indirectly teach the Vedas. First from nothing. He said, no, you're not nothing. You and God are one together. You understand? So from Buddhism, which is completely voidism, no God, he has brought to become one with, that means he bringing back God. But again, bogus philosophy. Right? And after him, Ramanuja comes, Madhvacharya comes, Limbaka, all come to say, no, it's not that you become one. You're always two. You see the Ramanuja, you see, Madhvacharya, his finger is like this, correct? Yes? So it is like this, an example. To bring a freshwater fish to sea water, you cannot immediately put the fish immediately, you will die. So you have to gradually increase the salt dosage. Then as the fish become acclimatized, then it will become, okay when swimming in the sea water. The same way, to bring the conditioned soul from this voidism to the personal aspect of God, there is a period of time. So he goes to Lord Shiva doing the job, and after Lord Shiva goes, then Ramanuja comes and Madhva comes, and like this. In fact, Madhvacharya, they drove Buddhism, Shankaracharya drove Buddhism out of India, and Madhva and Rama, they drove this impersonalism out. You follow? That is how India, there's practically no Buddhists now there in India. Where is the Buddhist? Nobody is there. All have taken outside India. Yes? This is the work of Shankaracharya. Then, Madhvacharya, when he sees any Mayavad, he will catch them by the ears and he will shake them so bad that they will never go to his area. That's how he is, so powerful. Because we cannot do all that now, it becomes a problem. At least we will preach strongly to see, make the personality of Godhead Krishna. Actually, I see that because of Prabhupada only that this thing has become very, solidly. I remember in 1975 maybe, yes, I was going to buy a book, Bhagavad Gita. I heard so much of Bhagavad Gita. So I went to the shop and there was only this Ramakrishna Bhagavad Gita was there. I didn't buy it anyway, But now, one day I was in the plane, I was going somewhere. Then that time, when I was early traveling, nobody got on the seat, your TV, it is a big screen they put out, right? And everybody is forced to see that, So I was watching that movie there, and there was a military parade, So in the military parade, the Muslim will have the Quran and the Christian will have the Bible, and the Hindus have the Bhagavad Gita. So the person was taking an oath and he was putting an on the Bhagavad Gita, and I saw it was as it is. Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Now there was a remarkable thing for me. Why? Because when I was growing up before Prabhupada movement became more popular in 75, was popular. This part of the world anyway. And the book that selling was the Ramakrishna Bhagavad Gita. Now, if you ask for a Bhagavad Gita, whose Gita comes out? Clean up. We have taken over the market. That's it. So that means that anyone who reads Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita will not get contaminated by this Mayavad philosophy. You understand? That is Prabhupada's great service, great contribution. Because if you were to read Mayavad, what will be our position? Huh? We will come here and see the Lord's face today not looking like a monkey. We will start thinking like that. Yes, make it more monkey-like. Huh? You understand? This is the nonsense. You follow? How we can think like this? It is dangerous. So therefore, we owe a lot. Actually, we owe everything to Srila Prabhupada, without any doubt. There's nobody who can actually give us this knowledge except him. So we are eternally indebted. At least this life. Hopefully, we finish this life and go back to the spiritual world. Of course, we carry on this program, we definitely will make it, that's for sure. We space out, there's no problem. Huh? Alright, it's 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanandi.